York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K. Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 669, post-trade deadline extravatacular.
Yes. This is going to be part one of our six-part episode focusing on the Jericho Sims trade. We're going to examine every angle of this trade. We're going to do a retrospective of Jericho's career with the Knicks. I think with the 6 parts, we can cover all 6 games that he contributed to. We're going to talk all about the dunk contest. It's going to be so much Jericho Sims. You're not gonna believe how much Jericho Sims. We came fully prepared to talk about Jericho Sims. Jay, where do you want to start? Do you want to start do a biographical part of him, cover his growing up? Do you want to talk about his contributions on this? How about Jay? Give me your top 15 favorite Jericho Sims moments on the Knicks.
I also wanted to just announce that I'm in the middle of editing, so it won't be out till next week, but the Jericho Sims documentary will be on our YouTube channel next week. At NY Knicks Podcast is our YouTube username, so you can stay tuned for that. And
are we settled? Did we settle on the final title for the documentary? Jumps High.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I think Jumps High, a New York Knicks podcast documentary on the career of Jericho Sims. It's going to be amazing. I think with the fact Jericho Sims is moving to the Bucks, we're officially going to be called the New York Knicks and Milwaukee Bucks podcast going forward.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be the only Knicks cover podcast that also covers the Bucks, and we'll still give you highlights of what Jericho Sims does on the Bucks if he ever plays a minute.
Yeah. So there's going to be about 37, 38 minutes on the double elbow dunk from the dunk contest.
Yes.
It's going to be good.
We also are going to be producing a line of T-shirts that will feature all the different hairdos that Jericho Sims had. You could also get a Jericho Sims wig with the New York Knicks podcast logo.
Anthony says, learning to fly, a Jericho journey. That's good stuff.
Yes. We will include in the book the biography we're writing on him. It will talk all about his award-winning defense and that time he tried to play offense. We'll cover all of it.
It's the book is going to be called "We'll Always Have Sim Sanity."
Yes.
So Jericho got traded for DeLon Wright, who is shooting about 8% over his last 5 games. So
there's also an 8% chance DeLon Wright is ever in a Knicks uniform.
Yeah,
he's clearly being cut before he gets to the Knicks.
I would think so. I mean, the word is he's not being cut for now, but I think the Knicks are going to wait to see who's in the buyout market.
Right. I believe they traded for DeLon Wright and cash considerations, and Vegas has cash considerations having a much better odds of being on the Knicks next season.
Leon Rose is like, just leave a sack of 20s in front of my door and get the hell out of here. So
so he was clearly Huck Porty's sanity had taken over the Garden, had taken over the Knicks world. Clearly, Huck Porty has taken over Sims' role. He played 2 games this week. He had he's looked really good. He had a less than stellar, not that plus minus is everything, but when the Knicks beat Houston, he led the team with a negative 14 in 8 minutes played, which I don't know how he did that. He had also 4 fouls in the first 5 minutes of play, but he's looked really good. Outside of the fouling every 5 seconds, he's looked pretty good.
He looked very good in Toronto.
Yeah, and Toronto game, first of all, even in the Houston game, he had a couple of defensive plays. I was really impressed, except for the fouling. And in the Toronto game, he went back to a normal plus minus. He had what was his plus minus
8
there? It was +8. He's going on the right trend. But he also just looked really good.
Yeah, he got an extended run, 19 minutes. He shut Scotty Barnes down.
He plays really, obviously he's a little raw, needs to work on his defense. Needs to work on not fouling. He seems to know what to do with the ball offensively. He seems to have all the offensive skills that Sims never had. Though we'll cover more of that in the Sims documentary. But Porty looks really good. I mean, like Porty clearly took Sims' job. There's just no question.
Yeah.
They gave him 2 games, and Tibbs is like, okay, fine, you can trade Sims.
He had no fouls in 19 minutes against Toronto, so that's
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize he didn't have no foul.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he looked really good. Like I've been impressed with what I've seen from Porty. I kind of love seeing him on the court.
it's nice. We probably won't see him once Mitch comes back, but right now the Knicks are shorthanded with OG out, so it's nice to have somebody that looks pretty decent on the court.
Yeah, I mean, Mitch started running, jumping. It sounds like maybe he'll be back right after the All-Star game. We'll see. But he's coming back soon. It's going to be awesome when he gets back.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was nice also to see Towns was playing on the court with Porty for part of the time. It looked fine. It looked totally fine.
Yeah, yeah. So things are looking pretty good in Nickland. They had a little bump in the road against the Lakers. The Lakers just
LeBron smelled the what's in the works in the Laker land and was like, I'm all in again.
yeah, that was he had a ridiculous triple double game.
He played awesome.
It
He played
happens. I
absolutely
mean, it happens. Also, I think that the Knicks might have been a little deflated with OG going down. It was a non-contact injury. You don't know how bad it is. Like, it's worrisome. Right now, it seems like it's a mildly sprained foot. The Knicks are always highly sketchy about the condition of their players.
Right.
But-
The Knicks still have Anthony Mason listed as day to day.
I mean, yeah, Randall was day to day for like 2 months, and then he got surgery. And even Tibbs was like, I think he got an MRI. I'm like, you think he got an MRI, or did he get an MRI? Like,
Yeah, it's not an opinion. We're asking for a fact.
yeah. So what we know now is it's most likely a mild sprain, which is like 8 to 10 days. So he'll be back after the All-Star break, unless they reveal other news. But so far,
I thought the report was like close to the end of February. He's gonna be back. But either way, he'll be back. He's not gonna miss a ton of games because of the All-Star break.
right. So the Knicks should be seeing Mitch and OG come back around the same time. And then for the first time this season, they will have their full squad and just dominate the league.
They played awesome against Houston. Played pretty well. Almost actually blew it against Toronto. But either way, the Knicks are playing really well.
I feel like Precious
fun.
has stepped up his game a lot.
Yes, Precious has been given a lot more minutes with OG out, and even before that. But like he's really stepped up. He seems a lot more confident on offense. His defensive games looks better. Like no one's gonna mistake Precious for an all-star, but he looks so much better than a throw-in on a trade. He
Yeah.
looks like a very solid player. He's giving. I remember in the offseason, I was like, how could the Knicks not bring him back? After Hardenstein was gone, I was like, you have to bring Precious back.
Yeah.
He's been really good.
So it looks like the Knicks will have 5 solid bench players once Mitch gets back. And Precious is going to be the backup 4. He's looked good. Playing with Towns, he looks good. Like,
By the way, going back to the Laker game, do you think LeBron just whispered to Max Christie, it's really important you have a good game tonight? Why, LeBron? No reason, nothing. I won't find out about this till later tonight. But
yeah, they were saying LeBron was saying he had no idea until after the trade. Not sure I believe that, but okay.
I had no idea about the trade the trade that was my idea.
Right.
Well, actually, probably it's Nico Harrison. Nico Harrison somehow is taking credit for this being his idea.
So do you want to get into the other trades, or do you want to talk about the game some more?
I kind of want to do trade deadline stuff. You want to do trade deadline stuff? Or you want to go talk about Knicks?
That's fine. We could do more trade deadline stuff. So
We can come back to the Knicks. But Jay, you're a Seinfeld fan, right?
yeah,
You know the episode where George Costanza has to get fired by the Yankees so he can get a better job, and he does everything possible to get fired, including like driving a car with the World Series trophy in the back and just all around the
the parking lot. Yeah,
parking lot. He does everything crazy.
yeah.
So is that what's going on with GMs in the NBA these days? Do
It
they
was.
have to get fired? What's going on?
I'm glad they came up with this new salary cap rules and structures to stop player movement, and I think 8 All-Stars got moved this trade deadline. Basically, the only thing that happened was that the Knicks couldn't re-sign Ihart, but Everybody else is
Yeah.
moving players, and it was wild.
It was absolutely. This is maybe the most wild. I don't think I can't remember a trade deadline that was crazier than this. So starting with the Doncic trade, I just thought I just read some quotes I thought were just insane. Um, so they said Nico Harrison decided earlier on that the best way to trade a player of Doncic's caliber was to pick the trade that he wanted rather than open up the process to avoid Doncic and his agent exerting their own leverage. It would also be avoiding the crippling fan backlash that might influence the deal.
So you just get it. Okay, I guess they wanted.
We have to get Anthony Davis, and we have to get him for as little as possible. I'm sorry, not as much. Sorry, we have to get as little as possible besides Anthony Davis. It's like he thought Anthony Davis was a better player in the trade.
Do you think that this was his idea, or do you think ownership made them do it?
No, according to Nico Harrison, who has said it was his idea. He went to ownership. Ownership laughed. He had to convince ownership of this. He had to convince everyone that this was a good idea.
So I'm just picturing him calling Palinka, and he's like, "Yeah, I want to trade Luca," and he's like, "This is a prank." He's like,
That's Palinka said he thought he was being pranked at first.
"Yeah."
And Palinka, by the way, and Palinka and Nico Harrison are good friends. I don't know if you know that they used to work together back in like Nico Harrison's Nike days.
I just like how Connect and the 2031 pick were originally in the deal, and Palinka was able to talk him out of that. He's like, "I don't know, Luca is kind of fat and he drinks a lot, so Anthony Davis has been healthy this year. I really think I should take some stuff off the table because I'm really getting hosed in this deal." And Nico's like, "Yeah, you're right."
He said the fact that Doncic could opt out in 18 months, or sorry, he can leave. I don't know if opt out or contract will be over in 18 months, and the fact they couldn't speak to Doncic's agent before the trade, those things were really worrisome, and so we can't take that risk. We can't include Connect or 2031 pick, and Nico Harrison was like, "Well, I kind of have to do this trade," because Nico Harrison just said, "Fine, that's cool. We don't have to do a trade." He could have gotten anything he wanted from Palinka.
Apparently not. So Palinka took off Connect and that first and turned that into Mark Williams from Charlotte. So
Also, Charlotte's GM, what in God's name are they doing? We the league. We're gonna zig when the league zags. We're gonna make sure we have no one over 6'9" on the roster. They got rid of both of their 7-foot players.
yeah,
It's basketball. Tall people are better.
yeah, but then they got Nurkic, the guy who lost minutes to Plumlee in Phoenix.
Oh, they traded for Nurkic?
Yeah,
Are they just brain dead?
I don't. They got rid of Nick Richards and Mark
Mark
Williams, and
Williams, two
and
young,
they got Nurkic.
promising centers for just off Nurkic, who's not very good.
So I posted like, "What the hell is Charlotte doing?" And a couple people responded like, "They're tanking, you idiot." And I'm like, they already have one of the worst records in the league. Like, they don't need to like blow up this like second, third worst record in the NBA team. Also, like, you have to rebuild at some point. You can't draft players and then just trade them away. That's not like, you'll never get good if you don't keep anybody. Like, who are they keeping?
You're not going to be like Is the GM like? Well, we can be besties with everyone if we're just the NBA's farm team.
That's pretty much what they are.
I mean, like, when does Brandon Miller get traded for like 2 second-rounders? Like, what are you doing? And you're keeping LaMelo. LaMelo is not helping you win basketball games, and he's never healthy.
So they're 12-36. LaMelo, I guess, Miles Bridges, and who?
Brandon Miller.
Brandon Miller. Like, that's
Brandon Miller's a very good basketball player. He is in. They have. It's like the karma like team. Like, Brandon Miller was involved like he didn't directly, but like there was some connection to a murder. Bridges on potential on who's was he convicted or just like accused of assault of his girlfriend?
I don't even know.
I don't whatever. They all have had things where like it's almost like they're stuck on this team because of like weird NBA karma.
So ESPN is so great. They don't even have Brandon Miller on the Hornets depth chart. So
How would you not? He's their best player.
I don't know. They're,
He's flat out the best player. He's the one like I would he's the only guy that's untouchable on that roster.
yeah. So great job. Great job, ESPN.
I mean, okay, so Dallas, the Nico Harrison thing is just insane. It's insane. Rob Pelinka's like, well, I'm stuck in this hell with LeBron James. We're going nowhere. We're going to be like, we'll win some games. We have no chance of the finals. I can't get rid of LeBron because he's just like LeBron. We're just screwed. Gets a phone call from Nico who's like, hey, I have a great idea. And Pelinka's like, oh my God. He could be the dumbest man alive. This is wonderful.
Do you think he like said, let me think about it, I'll call you back, and then he got a couple drinks and he's just sitting on the couch and he called his friends over and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to throw in Kleber and Morris to this deal too?
They were talking about this for weeks, apparently. The fact that Pelinka, like the ability, I mean, this is why I admire Pelinka. Because anyone, if someone came to you, Jay, and just said, I'm going to give you I don't know. I'm going to give you $50 million for your comic book collection. And instead of just saying yes right away, you negotiated up to $70 million for your comic book collection. That's almost what he did.
Yeah.
Like it was too good to be true. And he's like, I'm not going to laugh here. I'm going to keep a poker face and negotiate here because I'm worried if I say yes too fast, they'll get scared almost.
I mean, I understand that Davis is a very good player. He's
Very good player.
maybe top 10, 15 in the league right now. He's 6 years older. You now have a team with Kyrie, Davis, and Clay, three guys who are past their prime. So basically you're saying in the next 2 years you have to win or that's it. Whereas you could have Luka for
Right.
like a decade
Right.
because he was chubby apparently.
Because he was chubby. Did you see the clip that was going around where it was after a game, Doncic was drinking a beer. Nico Harrison walks by and just takes the beer from him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You
I
could
didn't-
tell
I didn't
right
know
there.
that
I mean,
was Nico
Doncic
Harrison.
should have been like, something's wrong here.
Yeah, I didn't know that was Nico Harrison who took it.
Yeah. It's crazy also, like he said, they said Harrison had studied Doncic closely. He admired Doncic's talent, spirit, and competitiveness, but he had more doubts about Doncic than others in the organization. He had all these doubts. The dude had been first team All NBA. Like he's already like whatever doubts you have about the guy's body or work ethic, he's freaking dominating. Why would you like what's so his fear, by the way, was that they had a max Doncic this summer, I guess, extend him, and the super max would have been $70 million a year, which is kind of insane. But the fear was that he would somehow be injured more going forward. This is the first year he's ever had any real injuries, and he become Joel Embiid, which Philly's just like, why are you taking shots at us? Why are we getting strays in your dumb decision?
So this is his bad season where he's out of shape. He's averaging 28, 8, and 8.
I mean, was he missed a month?
Yeah, I mean he's missed like 25 games.
He'll be back. Like he's supposed to be back after the All Star break, or actually before the All Star break.
He's supposed to be back Saturday.
Yeah.
Like he's back in 2 days.
They said he's ballooned up to like 260 or 270.
He doesn't look like that in interviews in LA right now. He did a couple
Wait,
interviews.
wait till he's 230 and all jacked after the motivation that Nico Harrison gave him.
Oh my God, he's
Did Nico Harrison just bet like he will never be a GM in the NBA? He's going to be fired very soon, and he's done basically working in the NBA.
Like I said, I think he has 15 months. He's getting 2 shots at this championship, and if he doesn't, he's out of a job.
Did anyone look at Dallas's roster and go like, you know what? That guy that got us to the finals last year, that's the guy we need to change.
I mean, roster-wise, Dallas, like the pieces fit.
Yeah, I
But-
guess.
But you're trading one of the greatest players of all time. But like Davis at the 4 and Gafford at the 5, that
Sure.
makes basketball sense.
You get
PJ
Lively back
Washington,
next season.
Yeah, you got PJ Washington at the 3. It's a sound. It's a very good roster, but like,
I'm sure Kyrie is going to be like, "Oh yeah, this sounds great. Trade me."
well, that's the other thing. Kyrie seems like he's really good as the second best player on the team.
Right.
So does Anthony Davis.
You just handed. I mean, basically, you handed. I guess they're both the second best player. I mean, again, it's a pretty good team. Clay, not the old Clay. I don't know. You really think that? I know the West is a little bit weaker. Maybe if you added Doncic back to their team, they'd go to the finals. I can't even get over it. So the Lakers, I think, have a good shot at the finals now.
Yeah, I was like, okay, they got Luca, but they really need a big man, and then they got Williams and Kleber and Morris, and I'm like, okay, well now they have big men.
They got a motivated LeBron. They got a motivated Luca. The only, I mean, like you could say like, I mean, the joke will be like, there's only one basketball. The joke they always make, and like the ball is going to be probably more in Luca's hands, but I think LeBron will be kind of fine with that because I feel like LeBron's going to be like, I'd like to go to the finals again. Luca's generational talent, like I am happy to like play more off ball to make this work.
They're both willing passers. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I can't see how this could not like both guys are ball dominant. Yeah, that'll be tough having two of the greatest players ever on the same roster. We'll see if we can make that work.
Right. So yeah, it's annoying because everything always works out for the Lakers. Always, somebody went through like top 5 players in the league, and the Lakers have gone 5 years in the entire history of the NBA without a top 5 guy in the league on their team. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting.
It really just like it is unbelievable. I mean, like at least you could say some of them like LeBron signs there, they're the Lakers, he comes there, like it's a given. Doncic, you have the dumbest GM possible, I guess, gives him to him. I mean, Kobe, they got lucky with the trading for Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Shaq, why can't the Knicks have this kind of luck?
I know.
This is ridiculous.
Although what I will say about LA, that their offense is going to be off the charts, but their defense is not going to be good at all.
You don't think LeBron plus Doncic shuts anyone down?
Mark Williams isn't a good defender either.
Is he not a good defender?
No.
Oh.
You know who dropped 42 and 20 on Mark Williams?
Who?
Anthony Davis.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
I'm excited for those two teams to meet.
I mean, yeah, like Reeves, like it's not a good defensive team. So,
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll make it work.
I don't
LeBron
think-
might play some defense now.
yeah, I don't think they're winning a championship like this, but they have. I mean, they're gonna have 50 million clearing up when LeBron retires.
I think they have a shot at a title. I think they in LeBron. I think they now have the best chance they're gonna have with the shot. Not they could add more players in the offseason. They could figure something out. I mean, they could still trade Reeves. They still have more moves to make.
Well, they can't trade anybody until next season now.
Right. I'm just saying, like they have a shot this season, and they have a shot next year.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like Lakers are gonna be one of the favorites next season.
I mean, the West is just stacked. There's like, I don't know, 12 good teams in the West.
Do you think Dallas will play better or worse after this trade?
Better. I do think they're
We'll
going to
see.
play better. Well, I mean, they've been without Luca for 25 games or something. Like,
Right. I mean, I guess the Luca Dallas. Yeah, I guess they weren't even having that great of a year. I mean,
they're 26
with
and
Luka.
25. I think they're going to do better than a half a game over 500 for the rest of the season.
Will Nico have a little victory parade when they're a second round out?
I can't even figure out the West right now. So many things happen. Let's move on to more trades because
Okay. Yeah. I don't
so
want them
so
all time
many happen.
and everyone's done this trade to death. We're not the fastest show.
Right.
Okay. What's the next trade you want to talk about?
Well, I guess Fox going to the Spurs. Kings.
Yeah.
Kings got Levine, and this one was like there was just a lot going on.
So, what Chicago got nothing for Levine?
The Bulls got Herter, Zach Collins, and Trey Jones.
Spare parts. Herter wasn't even having a good year.
Chicago likes to get these guys and then get like Kings do that too. They like trade guys and get like almost nothing back. So
I mean, it's genius. It's genius. Like other teams are trying to get good returns. We're zagging for return. I mean, Zach Levine. I guess if you're the Bulls, maybe you're like Levine's contract sucks. He's actually having a really good season, but let's get out before he gets injured again.
do you know what the Bulls also got? They got their own first round pick from this year back.
I mean, that's important. Now you can go full on tanking.
I guess they didn't trade any of their other guys, so they're not going to be terrible.
Right. You would think you would have gotten rid of Vucevic. What was the point of keeping him?
Apparently, the Warriors called and the asking price was too much.
I mean, the asking price would be matching salaries so we can move him.
I also read that the Lakers thought the asking price for Sims was too much. The Knicks got a guy who's barely in the league and a bag of cash. What were they expecting? Just like free?
I don't think you can actually give him free. Like you have to a second like what was the asking price? Was it too much for Smith?
That's what I'm thinking. Like that was too much. Like I don't know. So the
Uh,
Kings got Levine
the
and Kisoko, the Hornets first round pick, the Spurs first round pick, Timberwolves first round pick, and a bunch of seconds. Spurs got Fox and McLaughlin, and the Bulls got pretty much garbage.
so Sacramento, I guess they had to move him. I guess they didn't want to play there anymore. So I guess this is kind of he only had one more year remaining. This is kind of as good as it gets, I guess.
I was about to trade Fox in fantasy, and I was like, let me just see how he looks in San Antonio. Very first game in San Antonio, he gets like 13 assists. And I'm like, you know
I
what? I'm
would
going to
have.
hold on to him.
Why couldn't you get one of like get the Cell or like Castle? You get some one of their good young players.
That's the thing. I like you couldn't get Soshan. Like you
Yeah,
got
I mean, I guess
nothing.
I guess he basically had said he wanted to go to San Antonio and he could sign there in a year. So like San Antonio didn't have like, was it? Wait, is he a free agent this summer or is it
No, he's got one more year.
no one more year? Yeah. So I guess like in theory, other teams were like, well, I don't want to trade for De'Aaron Fox if he's gone in a year and a half anyway. So San Antonio had a pretty good bargaining position, but like, is San Antonio really going to say no if Soshan's included? Like we want, hey, we're giving you a
Apparently,
world class point guard. Give us a player.
apparently yes. Apparently, so they got Zach Levine, who's having a very good year. It's just like I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Like in defense of Sacramento, I am really curious to see how Zach Levine and DeMar DeRozan will play together. I mean, like just getting those two together. I didn't think any team could do that.
We haven't seen that in like 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, like I last year's Bulls were unbelievable when they had those two together. I don't know how they broke them up.
I don't know what the Kings are doing.
There are a lot of teams you're like, like what are they doing? Like what's Nico doing? What are the Kings doing? What's Charlotte doing? What is Washington doing?
There's
What
a
are these
lot
teams
of
doing?
it's so nice just sitting back and watching all this chaos, all these bad moves, and just be like, oh, the Knicks aren't part of any of this.
The Milwaukee Bucks said we need to move Chris Middleton. Fine, we got Kyle Kuzma. I guess didn't know we haven't seen what Kyle Kuzma's doing this year.
My jaw dropped when I saw how bad he was shooting this year.
My assumption is that the Bucks look at that and go, Kuzma has basically given up on the team. His numbers are only because he's not trying at all. And once he comes to the Bucks, he'll play better.
Well, if there was one thing the Bucks needed was poor defense.
Yes, yes. They've been all in on that poor defense. Since they traded Drew Holiday, they're all in on just getting rid of defense.
I mean,
Middleton wasn't a defender anymore either, so it doesn't even matter.
he was injured all the time, but still, like, I don't know, that's their move. Like, I'm not worried about. Are you worried about the Bucks anymore?
What did the Wizards get for this though? Like they just wanted to move his contract and not get anything else for him?
Apparently, they wanted a couple vets to mentor the young guys. So they got Marcus Smart and they got Middleton, and they're gonna mentor the young guys.
Okay, whatever. I mean, there's an idea.
So remember before the season we had a bunch of Philly fans messaging us saying all 5 guys on Philly are better than all 5 guys starters on the Knicks. Well, Caleb Martin was so good that they traded him to Dallas for Quentin Grimes and a second-round pick.
I am so upset by this. I
I
hate
know.
Philly. I do not want to see Quentin Grimes on Philly.
I know.
I like Grimes too much to have him on Philly.
I know. But it's also a move where you're like, you're getting the Mavs again. You're trading a guy who's younger and plays better defense, and you're throwing in a pick. Like, what are they doing?
Well, yeah. What's the point of this? Well, Dallas is all in on this season, I guess. So
Yeah, but
Nico Harrison
Caleb Martin
will
even
either
an
be
upgrade?
proven to be an idiot or be the greatest GM ever if they win a title.
I guess. And Martin had.
I mean, if Dallas wins a title this year or next year, people will be like, Nico's a genius, and you'd have to say he's a genius. You get a title, like, but there's no way that the Dallas team is winning a title.
So Martin also had a 15% trade kicker.
Oh,
So I don't know.
why does he even have that?
I don't know. These random players have these like crazy things in their contract.
So Kevin Durant was not traded. The Golden State Warriors tried to trade for him. Steph Curry had a conversation with Kevin Durant, which must have been the most awkward conversation when Steph was like, "Hey, we're getting the team back together," and Kevin's like, "I don't want to play with you."
I think it was more I don't want to play with Draymond, but yes.
I assume it's part of that, but like, you won a couple titles. You couldn't put up with it to go back there?
Apparently Draymond's intolerable. I mean, nobody wants to go to Golden State now because of Draymond.
Jimmy Butler did.
Well, Jimmy Butler loves money, and they extended him 2 years, which is absolutely insane. So the Warriors got Jimmy Butler in exchange for Wiggins, Schroeder, who was traded 2 more times after that, and Kyle Anderson and a protected first.
I'm not sure Kyle Anderson actually ended up getting traded. I don't know. Who cares? Kyle Anderson. But I think there was an issue with Kyle Anderson in the trade.
Yeah, Kyle Anderson, I don't think he's on the... I thought he ended up somewhere else. I don't know. He's
I don't know
floating
where he
around.
ended- I don't know
somewhere
where
in
he
the
ended
void.
up. It doesn't matter.
I thought maybe Toronto.
Let's stick with
got
the more
involved.
important players and
Yeah.
not try to figure out the details. The details are for shows that know what they're doing.
Yeah. PJ Tucker was involved, and he got traded after this trade. There's a lot of like guys
So-
got traded multiple times.
Golden State set it up so Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler, all their contracts run for the next 2 years.
Mhm.
They'll have a 2-year run with just Steph Curry to see what they can do. What do you think about the? Do you think they have any shot?
No, I think people are about to find out. I know there's this playoff Jimmy and blah blah blah. I looked at Jimmy's playoff numbers, and there was 2 years. The last 2 years, his numbers did spike. But there's not a huge difference between his regular season and his playoffs for most of his career.
He's had some big.
He's had some good moments, but he's 36. Like, I don't think this is gonna work out. I think he's at the point where his game is deteriorating fairly quickly, and everyone's gonna find out about that soon.
It's gonna be interesting. I mean, there'll be a fun playoffs, I guess. But
He also seems like a maniac. Like,
he's still a very good player. If you could, Golden State got better. They clearly got better.
I think
It's too-
mildly better.
I think sometimes when you're stuck with a play, like Steph Curry has been unbelievable, but because you can't move on from him, you can't like rebuild till he's gone, and you're like, well, we have 2 more years at least of Steph Curry being Steph Curry.
Mhm.
We got to do something with this roster. So it makes sense for Golden State. I like the move. I mean, Kevin Durant not going there seemed ridiculous, but and Kevin Durant, Phoenix was about to trade Kevin Durant to get Jimmy Butler. What the hell is Phoenix doing?
I don't know what Phoenix is doing.
Kevin Durant is a better player than Jimmy Butler, and these GMs are trying to downgrade players.
I don't know what Phoenix. It seems like they had to make a move. Maybe Durant was getting grumpy again, and so they're like, well, somebody's got to move, and we can't trade Beal because for some reason he has a no trade clause.
Because apparently the only team dumb enough to trade for Beal was the team that he's on.
Who would have thought that Beal thing wouldn't have worked out? That's crazy.
I can't believe Washington re-signed Beal and someone else traded for him. It's like shocking.
Especially with the no trade clause.
A no trade clause. Oh my god! But it really when Beal signed that contract with Washington, you were like, this is maybe the worst contract in the NBA. No one's going to trade for it. And then Phoenix like makes a trade for it, and you're like, what in God's name are they doing?
I will never say that there's a contract that's untradeable again because every time I've said that, that contract has been traded.
I mean, like, what are the most untradeable contracts in the NBA right now? Give me like 3 contracts you think could not be traded.
Embiid.
You see, I would say Embiid, but someone will trade for Embiid.
I know. He came back after a month off, got a triple-double, and then didn't play the next game. He's just going to pop in every once in a while, throw up triple-doubles, and
You would
that's it.
argue Embiid, Beal, and
But Beal would have been traded, I think, if he didn't have a no-trade clause. I think there
no,
were...
no one's gonna actually do that. That's like they're like, oh, I mean, Beal, we would have traded you if not for your no trade clause. That's the only thing. The fact that you barely contribute anymore and you're getting 50 million a year has nothing to do with it. Like there's so many suitors, but
Well,
not for the.
from what I read, that Beal said he would waive his no-trade clause for a team with warm weather, so you could see where his basketball head's at. He just like, and the only teams that made offers were like cold weather teams.
Do you think the Lakers pretend that Bronny James has a no trade clause also? Just be like, oh, we would trade him, but Bronny's got that no trade clause.
I mean, he pretty much does. Like LeBron will throw a
He
fit
does,
if he gets
actually.
traded. He's got an
Would you-
unwritten no-trade clause.
Wouldn't it be great if the Lakers were done with LeBron and the first thing they do is just trade Bronny?
It's just the farthest point on the map. Like, what's the farthest from LA? Boston?
They're like, I didn't know you were allowed to trade someone to the basketball league in China. Yep, we
Right.
figured it out.
You know they passed up on Huck Porty to draft Bronny.
Well, whatever. You know what? Like, as dumb, as funny as the Bronny thing is, I do appreciate LeBron being into his son enough and like that he wants to like he's gonna like go out of his way to get his son on his team. Like, whatever.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's
yeah,
so many companies in America where there's like some half-ass like loser son who's gotten their job because their dad runs the company. So
yeah, or the country. So
Or the country, yeah.
Jimmy, it's just teams that want him. They don't see how he's like throwing a complete temper tantrum and blowing up like 3 straight teams. Like Fox wanted to trade. Nobody knew about it. He just went to management, said I want to trade, and he got traded. Like, why can't Jimmy do that? Why does he have to like take the entire team down with him every time?
I guess that's how you get traded, though. I mean,
Yeah, but it worked for Fox. It worked for other players. Like,
it worked for Jimmy Butler. He's not on the team anymore. It's worked for Durant. It's worked for a lot of players who just like make a big deal about it.
so the Kings got Jonas Valanciunas.
Yeah, that Valanciunas when Washington signed him with the idea that we have to trade him. They didn't get much for him though.
No. So, I don't know what Washington's doing. Like, they're like, oh, we're gonna get these guys, and we're gonna get so many assets for them, and they don't.
It's not a bad idea. Like you're like, let's just try it, see how it goes.
Yeah, but they're the Kings. They never make good moves.
I mean, they haven't been good since the Mike Bibby days. So going back to Knicks, you want to go back to the Knicks on this? Any other trades we need to cover?
Raptors got Brandon Ingram
Yeah.
for Bruce
Um,
Brown
In-
and Kelly Olynyk and a first and a second.
Teams just giving players away these days.
Yeah, that seemed like pretty cheap for. I mean, Ingram. I know he's not had a winning record, but that Pelicans team has been decimated by injuries. I mean, Ingram himself too.
He's never healthy. Ingram's
Yeah.
injured every season. So he puts up great numbers when he plays, but he's never healthy.
Well, he'll fit in with RJ and quickly.
Yes, they need another buddy who could sit on the bench with them in street clothes. IQ has never got them healthy either. By the way, RJ got hurt, got a concussion, pretty bad injury. I mean, I'm sure he will be fine, but like he hit his head on the floor pretty hard. Hope things are well with him. Hope he gets better soon. IQ has been injured the entire season. He comes back for like a game or two and then he's out again. I don't understand what's going on with IQ.
Yeah.
What I've realized is that like Tibbs runs his players. He's playing these guys too many minutes, and then only when they leave the Knicks can they not get back on the court.
He ruined them.
Like Since they left the Knicks, RJ had a lot of injuries. IQ's had a lot of injuries. Um, Julius Randle might be out for the season. It's all Dante DiVincenzo. He's injured. It's like Tibbs is injuring all these players except for the guys on his team.
Oh, Andrew said the only untradeable contract is Terry Rozier, which might be true.
That might be true.
Being investigated by the FBI for fixing games. So, yeah, people probably don't want to touch that contract.
So Tommy Beer posted names of potential buyout market candidates. I'm going to read each name. I'll read you the list.
There's one more big trade we didn't talk about.
What big trade?
DeAndre Hunter going to the Cavs.
Oh my God.
I was pissed off about this. So the Hawks decided to trade every good player except Johnson and Trae Young. And they decided to take 8 cents on the dollar for Hunter and got LeVert, Niang, and 3 second-round picks and 2 pick swaps.
I mean, they got guys that weren't even like a big part of the Cleveland rotation.
Right.
I mean, clearly DeAndre Hunter, people were like, great trade for both sides. You're like, okay, what? How do you mean? They're like, well, Cleveland, like DeAndre Hunter solves a lot of problems for them. He's good scorer. He's good this, and this. Okay, what about Atlanta? It creates flexibility for them. What are you talking about? Look at what's there for Cleveland. It helps the league.
Atlanta got under the first apron. Cleveland added a starter to their already first place.
Best record in the NBA.
Yeah, yeah. So it doesn't seem quite even to me.
They traded bench players they barely wanted on the team for a guy who's a starter. It is ridiculous.
And then they sent Bogdanovich to the Clippers for Mann and Highland.
I mean, Bogdanovich wasn't having a good year, but like still, you kind of gave him away.
And then they sent Cody Zeller and a second rounder to the Rockets for free.
But Atlanta is tanking, which is a smart strategy when San Antonio owns your unprotected first round pick.
They blew up the team, and the Spurs have the pick.
I have to say, like, there's like a competition, and that's Landry Fields. Landry Fields is competing with Nico Harrison to see who is a worse GM right now.
It was literally just, we're not that good. Let's just save money. That was it.
That was, I'm sure, I have to assume Landry Fields was told by management, like, you got to just save money. We're not, Jalen Johnson's out for the season. Just save us some money. We're done here. And he's like, well, what do I, like, DeAndre Hunter is on like $20 million a year contract. He's having the best year of his career. What should we do? Cut him. Get rid of him. It's insane.
So the Hawks could end up with
there's not a player in that trade that Atlanta even wants.
No. They're 1-9 in their last 10. They could literally end up with the 5th worst record in the league by the end of the season.
Right. What's really going to happen is Wemby just got the Aaron Fox. And now he's about to get like a top 5 pick in the draft.
Watch them win the whole thing. Watch them finish with the 5th worst record and then move up in the draft.
Oh my God! And of course they're going to, because they're going to become the Lakers are always going to be a force. The Spurs somehow are always going to be a force. Knicks never get these kind of breaks.
No.
And I was saying the day before the show started, I love when you read online. There's always these Knicks fans who are like, they show that image of Leon Rose sleeping, and they're like, Leon Rose is asleep this trade deadline. What's he doing? What's he doing? If you're even like a casual Knicks fan, you should know the Knicks have almost no ability to make a trade this deadline, and they've put together the most exciting Knicks team of our lifetime. Calm the F down.
The Knicks are 34-17, the best record since 96-97.
Okay. So TJ Warren, potential guy the Knicks could sign.
Mm-hmm.
Other names that have to be bought out but are potentially going to be bought out include Javonte. This is from Tommy Beer.
Mm-hmm.
Javonte Green, Chris Boucher, PJ Tucker, Larry Nance, Daniel Tice, Jaden Springer, Nashawn Highland, Seth Curry, Josh Richardson, Taj Gibson, Marvin Bagley, Lonnie Walker, Patrick Baldwin, Torrey Craig, Chris Duarte, Reggie Jackson. Any names jump out at you?
Tice has already been waived.
Okay. Well, he doesn't jump out at me.
No, he's a big man. He's all right.
He's a big man. Yeah. I mean,
he's shooting 24% from 3.
I mean, I love there was a Reddit thread a Knicks Reddit thread talking about this, and every 5th comment was, "We know it's going to be Taj. We know it's going to be Taj."
Yeah.
Marvin Bagley, I think he'd be interesting.
Would he?
Okay, fine. As a bench, Torrey Craig plays good defense.
Yeah.
Big,
Yeah.
tall dude.
Yeah.
Boucher.
No.
He's more offense than defense.
He can't seem to break into a crappy Raptors roster. I don't see why he would be good anywhere else.
T.J. Warren.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. What about Reggie Jackson for the bench?
He got waived too.
Yeah, he would be. I mean,
He's fine. I just don't think the Knicks need another guard. They need another tall wing, so I don't see what that does.
yeah. Okay, I'm going with either. If we're gonna choose from this list, I think Torrey Craig is my guy.
Yeah.
Who do you like?
Yeah, either Craig or just go with Warren.
Yeah, I mean, if I could be talking to Daniel Tice, I guess, but let's do some questions.
Did we talk about how Schroeder compared trade deadline to slavery and then got traded 3 times in 48 hours?
So it would be like if Jay, like if I was like, Jay, I'm sorry, you got traded to a podcast in Texas. You have to move your family to Texas. That part does suck, but you're signing up to paid a ton of money also in the NBA. It just comes with the territory.
Yeah, but if that podcasting job paid $10 million, I'd be okay.
Yes, that is true.
But you know what? I think I'll be able to deal with it for $10 million.
Yeah, Jay, if you're getting $10 million a year to podcast, and I was like, you know what, Jay, I traded you to Oklahoma to do podcasting there. You'd be like, still getting the 10 million? Still getting the 10 million. I'll make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what a weird comparison.
Yeah, that's like, also you're a volunteer, right? When you play basketball, like you chose.
Well,
to
you're
do
not
it,
like
right?
no one's like forcing you to play basketball,
Right. Yeah.
For millions of dollars.
Right. It's fun. Basketball's fun. Yeah, a lot of
Pick a
parallels.
different analogy, or like read up a little bit more about. I mean, what kind of people always use these crazy analogies.
Yeah.
I get. I mean, the whole thing. I guess he's like he doesn't like the fact that like he can't just stay in one city. It's a weird career. You got to say like he's been traded like 9 times since 2018, and he's a pretty solid player.
Mm-hmm.
He's not like if you see his game, he shouldn't be a journeyman. I don't know how he became a journeyman.
He must be so annoying.
I don't know. Like he played well for Atlanta, but then Atlanta got Trae Young, so they had to move on from him, which I guess made some sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just could not find a home from there. And
Yeah.
he doesn't do enough. Like he's a good scorer, plays okay defense. I don't know. He just every place he goes, he's a little bit more replaceable.
Yeah. He's like good enough to have a long career in the NBA, but not good enough where teams aren't looking to maybe upgrade his position.
I think by the time he moved off Atlanta, like in Atlanta, at least you can say he's a young guard and like a guy we're gonna build around. Once he left there, everyone always viewed him as a guy like, well, he's just a guy here for a couple of years. We're not building around him. He's just a piece. Like he's solid for. No one thinks he's a core part of your future, basically.
Yeah. So
But he's actually a pretty decent player, which is weird.
yeah.
let's
Well,
do
remember
some
like
questions.
Jim Jackson got traded every year, and he would put up like 20 something points a game, like on every team.
It's weird how some guys just bounce around for like whatever reason.
He was on the Mavs, and he tore it up, and they got rid of him like the very next season. It was,
I mean, even D'Angelo Russell's bounced around a lot, and like he's not a bad player, but just happens to be like a good guy to trade.
yeah. Jim Jackson
Daniel Ru-
averaged 25.7 points for Dallas, and then they
He
traded.
was on there for a couple years, though, right? He was on that team for a little while.
Well, he started his career there, so
Yeah,
he was
that's
there
what I
for 4
thought, yeah.
years, and then pretty much he didn't stay anywhere else for more than a season.
Yeah, I mean, also, like a lot of guys, like at this point, Todd Gibson's been on 15 teams. I mean, guys bounce around.
Yeah.
Daniel writes, can you do rankings to each major team post-trade deadline? E.g., imagine the Spurs could bump higher. Okay, maybe it's a different version of this question. What team got better? What team made the biggest improvement for this season and made the biggest improvement long term? I guess the Lakers and the Lakers, or do you want to say San Antonio?
That's what I was debating. I think the Spurs got a lot better, short and long term. I think the. I mean, obviously the Lakers. They
Lakers
got
are number one
Yeah,
here.
they got annoyingly good, but I will say that I think the Kings got a lot better.
Kings got a lot
and the
better?
Spurs. I mean, the Spurs. I think the Kings got
Oh,
worse.
I was gonna say what?
Um,
And third is the Cavs, I guess. They got slightly better, but who else got better?
well, just looking at the teams that made moves, I would say Bucks got worse. Heat.
Yeah,
Maybe
got,
they.
got worse.
Maybe. I mean,
Well, I mean, if you're assuming Jimmy Butler's not playing for them either way, then fine. But like, if you have a healthy Jimmy Butler versus, I mean, a Wiggins, I mean, maybe Miami could, with their culture, can revive Wiggins' career.
I'm gonna call it a wash because Jimmy was being such a menace this year that the team was just not that good.
Golden State got better.
They got
It's hard to argue they didn't get better.
They
They
got-
they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they got better, but like, I don't even know if they make the play-in, to be honest.
They're gonna make the play-in.
You think?
Yeah, I don't know what the standings look like, but
They're,
there's no way they're not gonna make the play-in.
I don't know, they're tied for the last play-in spot, and the Spurs are only 2 games back. The Spurs could take that spot easily.
Oh, that is interesting, actually. Because I think the Spurs would have a pretty good chance at that play-in spot. Okay, looking at this, so the Suns probably will fall out of the playoffs. But Kevin Durant said, well, they had the rest of the season to figure things out. Then we'll address this in the offseason. Phoenix is about to get toxic.
Yeah, Phoenix is about to get toxic. Kings, I think, got worse.
They probably are falling out. So Golden State and the Spurs will just replace those two teams.
Unless Portland keeps playing like this.
Portland's been playing well, but they're pretty far. I mean, they're pretty far back. Portland's not for real. I know they've been going on. They've been playing
Crazy good. Out of nowhere. It's not like they had
9-1 in the last 10
guys
games.
injured or they made a trade. They just like, oh, I'm sick of losing. Let's just win 9 out of 10 out of nowhere.
I think you had the Aaron Fox. Okay, the Spurs and the Golden State Warriors will play better going forward. Phoenix and Sacramento will fall out of the playoffs.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, that seems like a given. No one else is going to make dramatic. In the East, there were no huge trades in the East, though.
No, the West went nuts, and the East was basically Washington and Atlanta just unloading a bunch of players.
The Miami will probably stay around where they are. Maybe Detroit jumps them. That's crazy. Detroit's even like in the 7th seed.
Yeah. It's also
Atlanta
crazy.
probably will get worse, obviously. Though it's hard to even fall out of the playoffs with how bad the teams are below them.
The East is really bad again.
I mean, guess Philly makes the playoffs, I guess.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, with their injuries, like, you would say by the end of the season they'll probably pass Chicago or
They will.
almost
They-
definitely
like,
Atlanta.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're going to finish like 9th.
If somehow the Knicks play Philly first round, I'm gonna be so annoyed.
Yeah.
Anthony writes, Mavs owner must hate their fans, right? Porzingis, Brunson, now Luka, all gone for what? In fairness, Anthony, you have to remember, this wasn't the first. Steve Nash also was given up by the Dallas. They have a history of getting rid of point guards that are future Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
You got rid of Steve Nash, Jalen Brunson, now Luka Doncic.
I mean, you could say Jason Kidd, but he was getting older at that point.
He was getting old at that point. He was kind of done at that point. I mean, he also let Tyson Chandler go and blah blah blah. But like the ones that were just egregious,
Yeah.
you could even argue Jalen Brunson. You didn't realize how good you fucked up, but you didn't realize how good he was. Steve Nash is insane.
Yeah.
And Doncic is a whole nother level of insane. Because
Yeah.
Nash, you didn't even know Nash was as good as he was. Like this is just ridiculous.
You knew Nash was awesome.
You knew Nash was awesome. Did you know Nash was as good as he was though? Like, I don't even
Kinda.
know. Like, I mean, like, I feel like the Luka one is like an all timer for
Yeah.
dumb trades.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you think of another young player that was given up on this early? That was a top 5 player in the
Unjustifiably.
NBA?
Like, no. I mean, no.
Anthony writes, "Are the Bucks now legit contenders with Jericho Sims? How will this trade affect the Knicks going forward?"
I mean, I'm just not worried about the Bucks at all.
I mean, Jericho Sims is going to basically probably make the Hall of Fame. So this is probably worse than what anything Nico Harrison did. Leon, are you listening to me? Jericho Sims will be in the Hall of Fame. The Bucks may never lose a title again.
There's like 3 good teams in the East.
Yeah.
There's like 9 in the West. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Reginald writes, would you rather have Jalen Brunson or Luka Doncic? Jay, you're running the Knicks. You get a call from Nico, and he says, I want Jalen Brunson. I'll give you Luka. What do you say?
See, the problem is salary-wise, you got to throw in like Bridges or OG.
Let's just say forget that. Let's say the salaries were even just for the sake of this hypothetical.
Is it bad that I'm even thinking about it this long?
Yeah. And you do know what the answer is here. I hope you're not coming to the wrong answer.
It's Luka, right? I mean,
No, it's Jalen Brunson. Wait, you're the worst Knick fan ever.
I wouldn't want to trade Brunson. Like,
I wouldn't trade Brunson.
ta-
Yeah,
taking
I'm not
the-
trading Brunson for Luka Doncic. I don't care what you say. Luka's better. Whatever you want to say. Jalen Brunson has been such a core member of this team. He has been so amazing for the Knicks. And you know what? It's not Luka doesn't do much more than Jalen Brunson does. Jalen Brunson puts up the same basic numbers, more or less. Like it's not maybe Luka's slightly better numbers. I would take Brunson over Luka. I know it sounds insane.
well, you'd
Brunson
also
has been
destroy
so
the
good.
chemistry. I mean, you got
Yeah.
the Nova guys, and like, I don't know. After Brunson took that discount, like trading him would be like pretty egregious.
Everything he does, I know he hasn't even been here three full seasons. I'm ready to say he is, and he may go exceed this right now, but right now I think he's the third greatest Knick of all time.
I don't even think that's a crazy. You're saying Clyde Ewing and then Brunson?
I was going to say Jericho Sims and Clyde.
Sims,
but I guess
Sims.
Patrick. You're right, probably Patrick. Yeah, I mean, like, I just he's been so goddamn. People are like, no slight to Carmelo. It's not a slight to Carmelo to say Brunson's been better. Brunson has been unbelievable for the Knicks.
Yeah.
We're accepting the crazy. Like, he took over the end of the. There's just times where like Brunson's like, okay, I gotta save the game here.
Yeah,
Like,
Houston and Toronto back to back. Like,
back to back
Yeah.
was just unstoppable at the end of the games.
Yeah.
The dude, like, he's maybe 6 foot. I mean, listed as 6'1" or 6'2", whatever. He's not tall in terms of NBA terms. Nothing about him is like this super athlete. He is just so goddamn tough, so crafty. How he gets the basket always, it is unbelievable what he does on the court.
it really is. It's
You watch him and like, Jay, do you ever remember like, I mean, again, not the like, I guess Carmelo is maybe the best comparison. When at the end of games you gave the ball to Carmelo or even Julius Randle, were you ever that confident when they were going to take the last shot?
no. Like
When
Brunson, I'm
Brunson
like
gets the ball-
surprised when he misses.
Yeah, Brunson, I'm like, we're gonna go hero ball. It's fine. Give the ball to Brunson the next 10 possessions. I think it'll work out.
Yeah.
And not that you want him doing that, but like, dude, he is just a goddamn winner.
He is.
It is that at the end of the Houston game when him and who was it on Houston? Who has like crazy athletic ability? I'm on.
And she forgot to
You know what I'm talking about?
put the
I'm on Thompson, right? Who looks crazy athletic,
Yeah.
and they were going back and forth, and I'm just like,
yes.
Brunson's gonna win this battle. Amon Thompson, it's gonna be a stop. You're not stopping Brunson.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would not. I'm sorry that you would trade Brunson for like.
No.
Have I shamed you into saying this, or are you really? This is how you really?
No,
feel?
I was very torn, and I don't think it would be a good idea team wise. Like, I like you could say Luka's better, but like, I don't know. I just think the way Brunson fits in with New York, the way he's embraced it, the way like anyway.
I think there's a list of like 5 or I was talking with a friend about this. The list of like maybe 6 players in the NBA or 5 players in the NBA that would say no to you would not trade for Brunson for Luka. Like you would not trade. You're not trading Wemby for Luka.
Right.
You're not trading probably Tatum because they're just the amazing fit in Boston, and obviously he's an amazing player also. You're probably not trading. You're not trading
Giannis.
I think you say yes. If you call Milwaukee, Milwaukee probably should say yes.
Yeah, I would think maybe just age wise.
Yeah, the age. The age is the difference here. I think like the big thing in the Anthony Davis trade, like in a given year, they're both maybe not that like it's not like not like Luka's so much better than Anthony Davis right now. It's just there's a 6 year age gap.
Yeah.
But I think Giannis, he's like 30 now. I would trade him for Luka. Shy, SGA. I don't think I'm trading SGA for him.
I wouldn't. I mean,
And then the best player and the ultimate dad bod on Denver.
I really just want Luca to leave LA next year when his contract's up and go to Denver. I really do.
That would be funny. That would be really. You know he's not leaving LA. There's no way in hell
I
he's
know.
leaving LA.
Nobody leaves LA. It's,
No one leaves LA. You can't blame them. Like they're like, hey, you know the most storied franchise in the NBA history? Yeah, you're the next centerpiece.
And not a lot of people are talking about how Luca lost out on $117 million also.
He's going to LA. He'll probably star in a movie. He'll be fine.
Yeah, but still, that's got to be like, if that doesn't motivate him to get in shape, maybe he does. Maybe he does have like some serious issues. But like,
I have to think he's gonna get in shape just to just show it to Nico Harrison.
yeah, that's what I would do. I would just spend the entire summer in the gym, come back like ripped, and average like 40 points a game.
Jay, do you think you would though?
Yeah.
If it was like I'm just wondering, like we always say those kind of things. Like if that was me and blah blah blah. So if it was like, let's say it was like they said Jay, $40 million, but you got to come back with like 60 pounds of muscle by next season, or 50 pounds of muscle. You have to go all out, working out 4 hours a day or 5 hours a day. You have to go come back. Do you think you could do that?
I think, yeah, if that was like all I had to focus on. When I was in 10th grade, I got cut from the basketball team. I didn't make I was the last person cut. And the coach said, I'm never going to make the basketball team. And I spent the next
Jay became an NBA player. So
I spent the next year doing nothing but practicing basketball. I shoveled just a strip to my basketball hoop in my backyard, and I took shots in the snow, and I made varsity. Like, I didn't even try out junior year. I waited until senior year, and I made varsity because I took it that personally. So if there was $100 million involved, you better bet I would do that.
Okay. I'm just checking. Not that you couldn't do it, but I sometimes wonder if I'm like, even with the money, can I really make that work? And I guess in theory you can, because you have trainers and you have people like motivating you when you see obviously see the money.
It's so much easier. He has every resource. Hire a nutritionist, hire a personal trainer, like hire them for $100,000 each. You have like hundreds of millions of dollars.
What if it was, hey, we will give you a shot at like $10 million, but you also can get zero, like a 50% chance at $10 million. We have to put all the work in while you're doing your regular life.
It's worth a try. It's like
It's worth a shot, yeah.
it's like a get out of jail, get out of work free.
Yeah,
Jail
get out of
being
get
the
a,
office.
the ultimate pull the parachute cord kind of thing.
Yeah.
The ripcord. Okay, so Knicks are playing awesome. A lot of GMs are stupid. Leon Rose is not.
We have 2 emails real quick, and then we'll go. Phil said, "What's up, gentlemen? So all this talk about trading Mitch for Watt and what serves the Knicks better, a big man will play minutes or any lengthy wing defender. Yet the one thing I've not heard talked about is which one helps us best against the current heavyweights we need to beat, the Celtics, Cavs, and OKC. Please espouse. P.S. Sad to hear this talk about you quitting the show. How about this idea? Do a 15-minute spot on Brink at the end of each show. That way, those who don't care know when to turn it off. Cheers." Thank you, Phil.
Okay, that's not a bad idea.
It's not a terrible idea, actually.
But yeah, go, Jay.
Well, I've been of the opinion that the Knicks should just. I'm glad they did, but I think they should have just kept Mitch, because I don't think there was anybody who would make that big of a difference that was available. I think people are forgetting, because he's been out so long, how big of a difference maker Mitch is. And the fact that he's cleared and he's probably coming back this month, I think people are going to quickly remember what kind of a difference maker he is. And I think this team is going to look awesome. I think Towns is going to look great at the 4. And I think all this trade Mitch talk is going to be embarrassing in about a month.
Well, I think also playoff time, the rotation shortens. Hibbs has a license to play guys more minutes. Chances are there was no one they were going to get with any Mitch trade that would have really played any minutes come playoff time. The only guy, as you said just now, the only guy that really had a chance to even play minutes was really going to be Mitch.
Yeah.
Like Tibbs will play Mitch if Mitch looks good. Jonas Valanciunas is fine. He wasn't really going to play. He might not even played in the playoffs. Any of these trades they would have worked out. Any guys we're talking about in the buyout market, these guys probably aren't going to play in a Tibbs playoff rotation. He's going to get as much as he can out of the starters. McBride's going to play. Precious is going to play. If Mitch is healthy, he's going to play. There's not going to be, and campaign maybe. Like there aren't many spots left or available in a Tibbs rotation in the playoffs. So, yeah, I mean, it's really like the point of getting a guy right now is just a guy that can like make the minutes not as bad through the end of the season.
Agreed. And the last email, Sam writes, "What's the worst part of being a Knicks fan to you guys? I have 3. 1, Nick effect. Any role player can have their best game of the year against us. 2,
Yes.
Knicks tax. Have to trade your entire team for players while the Lakers can get Luka for a ham sandwich. Or 3,
Buy first for Mikal Bridges. Now the trade deadline, teams are giving players away for second-round picks.
I know. And
It's unbelievable.
3, not having a generational player since Ewing. I love Brunson and Melo, but they are not LeBron, KD, Kobe, Jokic, Shea, Luka, etc."
I would not trade Jalen Brunson for Luka. And Jalen Brunson, you don't have to call him generational. He's goddamn awesome. And him and Towns, we got 2 all-star starters. I am not bemoaning this is a very, very good team.
I'm going to go with Knicks tax.
The Knicks tack. The Nick effect is kind of annoying.
The Nick effect is very annoying, and also we got to come up with a term for reffing against the Knicks,
Oh my god.
because that
In
Houston game was beyond egregious.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how often points get taken away from the Knicks during commercials.
Yeah,
I've never seen it happen to any other team.
Never,
And then
never.
it's unbelievable. They're like the guy was out of bounds. You're calling this during the commercial.
yeah.
If you don't call it when the play happens, the one was great. Was that they didn't call? I forget who shot the 3. He jumped up in the air, lands on his feet, he basically clearly travels. Then he's standing on the 3-point line, shoots, and they call the 3. I'm like, you see the ref staring at him. You didn't see the guy jump in the air and then stand on the 3-point line. You missed 2 calls in the matter of 3 seconds.
I didn't look up who the refs were that game, but I would be surprised if it was the usual suspects.
The usual suspect of the NBA ref. The NBA refs just do not like the Knicks. I don't know why the NBA loves the Lakers and hates the Knicks.
My only theory is that Dolan is kind of feuding with Silver, and like the refs took Silver's side, and they're like all against the Knicks. That's the only thing I could think of.
Enforce the NBA rules against just the Knicks.
Yeah.
It does I find so annoying the idea that during a timeout, during a commercial, you could figure out if a guy was standing a guy had his foot out of bounds or was on the 3-point line. You could take points away from a guy during a commercial. It seems insane, but you can't figure out if a guy didn't commit an actual foul.
I don't understand what they could review and what they can't. It seems like there was another one where it was like that he got fouled and the ball went out of bounds, but they're not allowed to review the foul, but they're allowed to review the out of bounds. Like, it's so convoluted.
There were also all these plays they're like, what is it, marginal contact, or is it it's never marginal contact when it's against the Knicks, but when someone fouls the Knicks, you're like, oh, it was marginal contact. I'm like, he hit Brunson across the whole body, but that's fine. That's cool.
Right.
Okay.
It's crazy. Anyway, so I guess
Okay.
that's we're out of time.
Next 3 games, and then we're done. Boston, Indiana, and Atlanta. Boston is a huge test. National TV on ESPN or on ABC. What's going to happen, Jay?
Boston's getting spanked by the Mavs right now without Anthony Davis.
Interesting.
They're down by 16 in the second quarter.
And they'll come back and win. Okay, so Atlanta's a win. Indiana's probably a win. Boston, I'm gonna say they go 2-1. They either Boston or Indiana they lose to.
I'm going to say 3-0.
I'm sorry, I'm not a real Knicks fan. They go 4-0 in those 3 games.
I think the Knicks are playing Boston while they're in a bit of a rough streak. So I think this is a good time to play them.
Fair enough. Boston, maybe they're not quite as good as. Maybe Boston should have made a trade today.
Maybe. Well, they did. They traded like Springer, I think.
Okay, well, whatever.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Anyway, tune in, Jay. When are you dropping the 7-parter, the rest of the 7 parts of this on the Jericho Sims? The tragedy is that moving on from Jericho Sims.
Probably middle of next week.
Are you excited for the Jericho Sims retrospective? I'm done with the Jericho Sims jokes now.
He was. I mean, nothing against him. He seemed like a nice guy, but
Yes.
maybe
He could jump. I don't know if you knew that.
hope he gets minutes in Milwaukee.
Yes. I don't know. Again, did you know he could jump?
I did.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know he could jump.
He can jump.
That's-
He can
yeah.
definitely jump. All
He
right.
could jump up and not always foul. He just did a lot of good things.
We will be back next week, and then we'll probably take a break for the All-Star break, and then we'll be back for the final stretch.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye, everybody. It's time to go.
This is the end.
Say goodbye. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl.
Goodbye, 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 everybody.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm going to shut down the room, but we'll be back soon.
We didn't point out that the most 40-point games since the start of last season, Brunson has 19, Luka has 15.
Right. And the Brunson already has more 40-point games than Melo.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a knock on